What's up, my vigilantes? Good to see you here today. Hope you're doing well. You drinking water? Staying healthy? I see you out there. Drink some water. Today, our comic conversation is about a topic I've always wanted to cover in a YouTube video, and that's the newer publishing initiatives at the big two comic companies, Absolute DC and Ultimate Marvel. And I think that these books are a modern renaissance. Now, I know that's a pretty big word to throw out at some comic books, but hear me out. The dictionary defines Renaissance as the great revival of classic art, literature, learning in Europe from the 14th to the 17th century, marking the transition from the medieval to the modern world. Pretty specific definition. Doesn't really apply vibes. Yeah, that one doesn't so much, but the third definition is the one I'm looking at. Any notable revival in the world of art or learning. And that's exactly what I think we've seen, and are currently seeing with the launches of Absolute DC and Ultimate Marvel. It's no secret that comic books in general haven't been at the height of their success. Manga and anime have been as popular as they ever were. I'm into that stuff as well. I know plenty of other people are who are comic book fans too. The comic book movies still, they do well, but they're not what they once were either. The comic industry has been needing a real shakeup. Both the big two companies seem to have kind of come to this conclusion almost simultaneously, but I gotta give more credit to the creators of the books on this, because they probably feel like a lot of us comic book fans do, in the sense that things are a little too samey. It's hard to describe, but, sure, we still love the characters, the art, the creations, but company mandates and suits, they sometimes put pressure in the wrong places. Comes out bad for the creators. And that's where these bad boys come in. Absolute DC and Ultimate Marvel mark a special place in comic book history, giving creators more freedom for their visions along with whole new playgrounds to explore them in, where changes can actually stick, things can really change in significant ways. Sure, there's been relaunches in the past, DC's The New 52, all new, all different Marvel, and you'd of course have the Elseworlds and What If stories that let creators play around with some different things, but never really gave them the space to fully explore any of those ideas. They were always too short. I think one good example, and maybe a little bit of foreshadowing for some of these new launches in the past, was Spider's Shadow by Chip Zdarsky. This one, they kind of let Chip have the reins a little bit more, and just kind of let him have more space to explore a what-if story for Marvel. It's basically what if Spider-Man became Venom, but it's a pretty solid story, and they gave him plenty of room to breathe with it. I think it was like 6 issues. They did a whole mini-series for it, but that only kind of scratches the surface. They were just starting to play around with those ideas, and we didn't really get much more of that until later. But now, lately? Oh baby, lately?
Wow, that is delicious. Finally, some good fucking food.
Both of these new publishing initiatives come with their own brand spanking new universe created by a dope villain, where things are different for the better, and where there can be an evergreen space to explore these differences for creators. Now, they're dope and all, and that's good news for creators. But how is it a modern renaissance? Well, these comics literally breathe new life into the industry, a revival. The number ones for some of these books sold like Silly Bands did in 2010. I've never seen anything like it in my time as a comic book fan. I think Absolute Batman sold something like 700,000 plus copies, which is just insane for a comic book these days, even a number one of a new series. I could maybe picture some of those books, like some of the really, really good books from the 80s, having some crazy launches like that maybe, but I wasn't around to see that, so I don't know. I've had more than a few non-comic book readers asking me if they should go pick up Absolute Batman, and I've never seen the industry so popular with people my age. Now, a renaissance is a notable revival of an art. I think these pretty much fit the bill there. But on a deeper level, I think what is so incredible about some of these books is how reflective they are of the time we live in, and how perfect these are at bringing the characters into a new age. Especially Absolute Batman. Scott Snyder has done some beautiful things here with the character of Batman. He put a modern twist on Bruce's tragedy as a child that is as dark and real as it is beautiful and unfortunately even relatable to many. What we have here is not the tragedy of old, the rich yuppies out in the town looking like caricatures of 1940s white folk, taking their child to the new hit movie, The Mark of Zorro, and a woman being robbed of her pearls. No, this is something new, something more grim, because it feels much more real to us here and now. Bruce didn't lose his parents in an alley. Here, in this world, Bruce's father, a teacher at their elementary school, took the class on a field trip to the zoo. Thomas Wayne died there at that zoo, protecting his class from a public mass shooter, while Bruce could only listen, locked in the bat enclosure. This awestruck me when I first read it. So dark, but such a brilliant idea to use this as this new Batman's origin story, his great defining tragedy. Scott Snyder has done amazing things with Absolute Batman so far, as have other creators working on these lines of books. But you guys should absolutely check out some of these books. They're all incredible. So many choices of characters for the new universes for Marvel and DC. You've got Ultimate Wolverine, everything from the Ultimate Sphere into the Avengers, or on the DC side, you've got Absolute Wonder Woman, which is just incredible. Absolute Superman and Batman, and even some new ones now. But it's a pleasure to see this chapter play out in the comic book space in real time. It's been amazing.